On today's show, we have Julie Bukikon, the Assistant Deputy Representative from UNDP, join us in the studio. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Diane. My pleasure.
So, I've just introduced you, your title, you're the Assistant Deputy Representative.
It's the Assistant Resident Representative.
Yes,
and
that's quite high up. You're the third most...
That's right. In UNDP in Papua New Guinea, we have our resident coordinator, UN resident coordinator. We have a UNDP deputy, and I'm the assistant resident representative. So I do quite a lot of work, including management of our programs in the country.
And you're like the only female,
in terms of the structure with UNDP, that's the top national post that a national can hold in the country for the UNDP.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. I mean, how did you, I'm sure there'd be a lot of young women and women like watching that are wondering, like, how did you get to where you are? Maybe you can share with us a bit about your journey.
Sure, and thank you very much for inviting me to share my journey. I think we're at a juncture where we want to talk about women's empowerment and advancement, and I'm happy to come and share my story. So I come from, as you know, I told you earlier, humble beginnings. I was born in the Highlands. My father was a police officer for a number of years, over 20 years, and we traveled quite a bit in the Highlands. I was born in Enga, in the Sopas Hospital, and from then on, after a few years in the Highlands, we moved on to Medang, and I grew up there, and also my parents retired in Medang, and Medang is more or less our home base. But I attended the local schools there, went to high school, and eventually making my way up to study law at the University of Papua New Guinea. And I told you earlier that at the time it was very, very competitive. And when we went in for registration, there was probably about 11 or 10 of us women and more than 80 men going into our first year to do law in 1998. So then you could already see why we need to help women get into professions like that, which sometimes will be very, very difficult.
And you're already breaking glass ceilings at that.
That's right. So from then on, interestingly, when I talk to young people, including men, women, young girls, telling them about the importance of self-discipline and motivation. Because when you leave, for example, high school and you enter university, you're on your own. Usually you have teachers in high school and senior high. When you go to university, it's more or less an open place where you need to discipline yourself, how you do your work. Your motivation to complete assignments, do your research and so forth. And law is it can be a very difficult course. It is one of the difficult ones to do. And also the ratings that you must get to pass into, continue going up to study, to advance in the course is also quite, demanding. So I went on to finish, and that's when I got honors with my degree, and I was able to secure a Chevening scholarship to do my master's in the UK. Wow. So I went to the Nottingham University where I did a master's in international commercial law. Wow. So that also was quite interesting because I left university and immediately that was my first time overseas studying. Wow. In a very new environment, not even Australia, in a place far away, having to deal with the condition there, the weather, the different lifestyle and culture. Was also very interesting. Again, the things that I had in childhood where I talked about self-discipline, motivation, that helped all the way up to obtaining my master's in the UK.
Wow, and then how did you get into the field of the humanitarian,
Yeah, so when I got back, of course, my background is in law and I trained as a lawyer. So I got back and I was fortunate that during university I also got an attachment with now ASHAS. Back then it was Blake Dawson Waldron Lawyers. So I got back and started working with them. And during my work with them, I also did some pro bono work, mainly working with women and children in the family court. And that was when I started to realize the kind of social barriers, social issues that were affecting people. And I think I came from a certain background that, yes, there were issues, but I was in a family where I was able to get an education, live in a safe place, have shelter and food, and progress in my education. And I met some of very, very unfortunate and disadvantaged people, and I started to realize the importance of working on those kind of issues for our development, our country's development. So around 2007, I had an opportunity where there was an opening with a UN organization then known as UNIFEM, and now it's UN Women. So they didn't have presence in the country. So they asked if I could set up that organization in the country.
Okay.
So I went in, and it was interesting because it was a new field. Yes, I knew the issues, but coming into the UN system was a lot different. So I had to learn all of that.
So you were the only employee?
I was the only person here working for that organization. So it meant establishing it in the country, introducing it to government, to other partners, civil society, and getting their partnerships and network running so that we could start implementing projects in the country. So I was a lone person then, and about 2 to 3 years later, the agency grew. I was still OIC, and we started recruiting people. And by 2011 going 12, we had enough justification for the headquarters to have a permanent office here and appoint an international representative for UN Women.
That's incredible. I mean, you talk about the things that I suppose the core character of who you are, drive, and being disciplined. And I think you've carried that through your whole. I mean, what's your inspiration, or what drives you to continue to push?
Yeah, I think these things come as part of your nurturing at early age, and really understanding what is important to you. And of course, like coming into school and going up, the importance of, as I said, having self-discipline, doing your work. And, of course, we all face obstacles. And I think in our country, more so women do. So in my role currently, I'm the head of governance at UNDP. So part of my work is looking right across all our programs and ensuring that when UNDP implements, that we make sure that we also are aware of issues that affect women. So we do peace building in Bougainville. We work on finance here with the finance department. We have worked on gender-based violence issues, and we do a lot of policy support to the government. And so in my role, I'm in a good position where I can see and advise my organization saying, here's the issues that I think are important for women and girls in PNG, and how can we help them? So it's been a very interesting journey, and I think I'm doing what I can to support the agenda for gender equality in the country.
Is there one person that has inspired you, or that from a young age that you looked up to, or a prominent person, or it can be just someone in your family that has has mentored you to get to where you are?
Well, yeah, it is, and I thank you. I now have the opportunity to say that it's been very instrumental where you look to your male family members for support, and I had a very significant input from an uncle of mine. For example, he taught me how to write letters when I was in grade 2 or 3.
Oh, wow.
And that was, it was confidence to say, here's what I can do. I can write and I can receive letters, I can communicate, the importance of standing up and speaking. So in a society where a lot of times, we know that men dominate, it's very, very important where our male family members give us support. Yeah. And I think in my position now, I also recognize my male family members. Yes, women have always been helpful, but in our society, once you start getting support from your male friends, colleagues, your family, I think that's really helpful, because there are barriers that of course men have influence there, and they can unlock those for you.
And that's even more powerful in the gender empowerment space.
Exactly, working with men is very important, because sometimes we tend to think it's a women's issue.
That's right.
But there are men also there and may have contributed or have some influence. And how can you work with them to make things better?
And what's your advice for young women, young girls who may be watching, who are like, I want to be like her when I grow up? Or what's your...
Right. Well, my advice is, you need to believe in yourself, having that personal motivation, believe that you can make a difference, you can contribute, in whatever you do, and being proud of yourself to say, look, this may be very small what I'm doing, but this can go far, it can build me, it can contribute, as time goes on.
Well, thank you so much for coming and inspiring me, and I'm sure you've inspired the viewers as well. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure as well. Thank you.